Okay, cool. Good afternoon, everybody. Afternoon, Dazza, William, Darren, Pretend as well, channel member, as is William. Welcome to you all, and everybody else tuning in as well. We're live at Boeing's Everett facility, Kilo Papa Alpha Echo, and for the first time ever, we've got some freeware scenery as well, which is really cool. And I've got the link to that in the description, I believe. And for the first time ever, we're in the little CJ4 working title mod. And we're going to give it a go. I've not actually flown it for more than 10 minutes, so we're still cold and dark, and I'm going to go through the setup. In the description as well, if you guys wanted to fly this and give it a go, there is a link to a working title user guide for the CJ4, and I'm basically going to work through that for the day. For today's route to Aspen, Colorado. Interestingly as well, one of the US's hardest approaches apparently. So we're going to throw ourselves into the deep end again, like we did with the 747. David, good afternoon. Wesley, hello, welcome. You're here somewhere as well, I think. Nice little dream lifter off in the distance there as well. It's a really nice bit of freeware scenery, actually. I'm quite impressed with it. I had to spawn a couple of times though, because the developer didn't actually turn off some of the parking bays. So where all of these static aircraft are, they're all still valid ramps, which makes it a little difficult if you're trying to spawn and actually work out where you can and can't load up. But I found a nice little sweet spot there in the middle. I have no idea what ramp number it is, but we're going to go from there. So into the flight deck, and we're cold and dark as I mentioned. So let's have a little look at this user guide. Checklists. So it actually jumps straight to full checklists for engine start and things like that. But we don't really want that. What I want to do, I want to see if I can actually open up the doors. For some reason, I've tried to open the doors with a hotkey, and I've got the fuel lead, which is bizarre. So let's click that again and try and get rid of it. There we go. That's odd. So I don't think the door opens. No, doesn't seem to do. Oh well, that's a shame. Let's have a little look then at what we're doing. David, good afternoon. Matthew, hello, welcome. You're going for 16 left. Wow, that is short. Almost VTOL. So, cold and dark, and let's see. Got a few comms panels here as well. That's going to help us turn bits down. So let's go, I think it's battery on, avionics on, and there's this is the FMC here, or the MCDU as it is in the Airbus. I'm not quite sure what it's referred to in the Cessna CJ4. Avesta EU, hello, welcome. We've got the very latest working title mod as well. So let's have a little look. So initialize position. I was having a little play with this the other day. You want to go to POS init. What's on the next page? Yeah, cool. POS init, and then you want to set your position to GNSS. Click it and paste it. Flight plan's blank at the moment, but if we go to IDX, MCDU, trying to remember now. Where is it? Maybe it's the next page. Yes, I think this is it. So IDX, next, mod set. You've got different options here, so you can turn the cabin lights on, dim or off. You put your SimBrief pilot ID there as well, and you can change your metric units. It's set to Imperial, but I've changed it over to metric. And you can force ground power unit on as well, so that you don't end up killing your battery, which is quite good. And also you can set a default to hide the yoke. Aviation simulation, yeah, it is a rare sight, isn't it? David in America, welcome. Thanks for tuning in. And Mats, hello, welcome to you too. So let's see, I'm trying to remember. Let's have a little look at the user guide then. So there's a SimBrief section. SimBrief. So I've already created a sim brief plan, and I've got an online flight plan, and I've got the pilot ID input as we've just seen. So I need to now go to IDX, and we've done mod set and entered that in. So we have to then go to page 2. This is it, route menu. I knew I'd forgotten it already. And then if your pilot ID is in green, 363-617 as it is for me, then you can click flight plan recall brackets SB, and in it goes. That's new. I'm just going to click that. They're not the same. Ooh. Let me bring up SimBrief very quickly. Didn't have this earlier, but I am throwing myself in, so it's not their fault. It's my stupidity. What is it? DBL. So that's going to be near to Aspen. There we go, DBL, and that is 39.45 north. That's the closest. And then exec comes up here on the window. You want to make sure you then select that and commit it. Wonder if working title are watching. Emilio, yes, it depends if it's matching it or not, really. Tina Star, welcome to you, and Aqua Vitali as well. Hello. I think I recognise your name from the working title Discord server as well. Rakeem, hello, welcome. Flight number today is ExecJet 165. Regretting that already, can't even pronounce it properly. Distance to go 847, and our diversion was KDen, Denver. Oh, key not active. Oh well. Performance init page. So I was trying to remember all this earlier. Fuel wise, I don't think it updates itself, though I may be wrong. But we need 1,534 kilos of fuel. Oops, come on. There we go. So we'll do, what's that, 1.4? Oh, right. We'll do, man, it's so clicky, isn't it? 1699, that'll do. And we've got a couple of passengers there, and you can see we've got menu payload passenger 6, so we've got 6 packs. So we can go 6 packs. Oh, my fault. Press and hold that. 6 packs. Cruise alt. I'll change the cruise altitude to 370. I'm not sure if it will let me change it. It does. And cargo, back into the menu, and it's about 150 or so, we'll say. And we've got sense fuel 1698. So click into here, and we need to change the runway, so we need to go departures. Callum, welcome. Thanks for joining us as a channel member. Nice one. Welcome to the team. You're already a mod, so I appreciate all the work you guys doing. 16 right was the departure we wanted, so let's execute that. And we need to go back into the route page, I think it was, wasn't it? Is that where we were? No, flight plan. Yes. And that is literally as short as the flight plan gets for us, really. Performance init page. There we go. All of this is very new, as you can see. So we can now go ahead and put in all of our data. So we need the latest METAR, and it's KPAE 180 at 6 for the wind. Oh, there we go. I think it's that one at the top there. And I'm not sure what the runway slope is, so I'll stick. It's not active anyway. QNH is 3006. Yeah, so you've got all your emojis now, haven't you? And light rain as well. Although interestingly, I've got live weather on, and it's not raining, even though it should be. Outside air temperature 7 degrees, and I think that's it. So we go to the next page. Takeoff flaps, we're going to set 15, but if we were going to take off with 0, we could just click that and it'd cycle across and you can see all the V-speeds update there. But if we're happy, if we're leaving anti-ice off, if it's going to be on, we can click that on as well. Aqua Vitali, thank you very much for your donation, really appreciate it. We can click into V1, V-rotate, V2.
Have a nice flight.
Thank you very much. And we hit send. It goes in progress, and you can see it there loading into the primary flight display, which is quite cool. Onto the next page. You basically work through and you check the values, and let's have a little look. There's our legs on the route today into arrival at Aspen. What else is there? Yeah, live weather is terrible. It was working for me actually a minute ago, so maybe I should turn, let's do scattered clouds. We'll wait for the old wheel to finish spinning. There we go. And now we'll go back to live weather and see if we can force it in. I think that's it, setup wise. It's really easy to set up this, to be fair. The difficulty I had yesterday, I took it out for a 10-minute blast just to sort of see what, if I could do it all. And let's go. We want nav, logo, belt, safety, actually. And let's put the beacon on for now. So we need to go in here. We need to change our radio tune. We want 122.8.
I'm glad to be a great help to you.
Callum, thank you very much for your donation. Very kind. So 122.8 in COM 1. There's COM 2 there as well. And our nav frequencies, we might need to update those as we get a little closer. But I think it's they don't have an ILS frequency or anything. And we want 2000 for, I think, Squawk. Next page. There's our ADF frequencies for any NDB approaches. And there's another ADF there too. I think that's it. There's a message tab that's quite good. You could do direct 2s, although I had a few issues yesterday trying, but then I think I might have broke it. Left display advance, so I think we're all pretty much good to go. Now to start this, we've got beacon and everything on. What you want to do is, it's very simple actually, in fairness. You've got two lights here, so run engines, run and stop, and then you've got your engine starter buttons there. So check the throttles in idle, and we'll start engine 1 first. That goes out, you want to click open it and click run and close the tab. Let's check out some of these views that I've set up. Let's see if we can catch. Nope. Trying to catch the engine starting. Mats, welcome to the channel. Frequent flyer as well. Silver, nice. Thank you very much. Welcome on board. There's the engine spooling up. The cabin's quite cool in this, in fairness. I wonder what's going on with the live weather. Let me just check general data. That's all on. Bizarre, isn't it? The real weather is absolutely chucking it down, like John said a minute ago. What time have I set? Ooh, 9 o'clock local. Maybe I'm going to go to Unreal Weather for departure, I think. There we go, that's a bit better, isn't it? That's what it should look like. So engine 1 is started. There it is in blue showing run. And on our nav display there, whatever they call it in the CJ4. We've got engine 1 here. So, engine 2, open the guide, hit run. It's really sporty this, so William, that's very odd. It's a bug that I've seen mentioned a lot actually lately. We've done the V speeds, set magenta, manually adjusted, will be cyan on the PFD. Be sure to complete the perf init page, set the weights according to how the aircraft's loaded.
Plainfield, check traffic, November 27 Juliet, Mike radio check.
Exit check 165 at your readability 5, Hammy.
Readability 5, no problem.
Oh, there's a rainbow, lovely. Run, they're both stable. There's no way to push back. We can go VOR1, there's FMS, we're going to leave it on FMS. And we've got terrain, weather. That's cool. Weather might be interesting to leave that on. With traffic on. I love how I'm literally just making this up. Rad out, Barrow, we don't need that. PFD menu. Well, I wonder what that was yesterday. Okay, I like that. That's good. Leave that on. And there's our flight control panel for the autopilot stuff. What was our QNH? 1013. That can't be correct. It was 1018, which is this one. Oops, did me. Standby instrument as well. 1018. So I think we're pretty much ready to go. Let's do the safety demo thing. Taxi lights.
May I have your attention, please? At this time,
Pitot static.
please comply with the illuminated seat belt
Wing
and no
light.
smoking signs. Thank you.
Let me just get my things out. Here we go. Plainfield traffic, exec jet 165 on the Boeing ramp, taxiing to runway 16 right, hold point Alpha 1 via the ramp and Alpha. Pressure control standby, that's on damp. They're left as they are. Let's do cabin norm for the air conditioning. We can't. I think we can push back. There's the guy. See what happens. Oh, turn off your engines. Right, in that case, pushback express, go away. Let's rock and roll. We're going to taxi all the way through the ramp and check out all of these static aircraft and the scenery, which is quite cool.
Plainfield traffic, November 27 Juliet, Mike is...
I can tell you, yeah, it does, doesn't it?
On the eastern apron, Foxtrot.
Makes us look absolutely tiny with a 777 looking that size next to us. I'm more of a fan of airliners, but I'm quite keen to give this a go, at the very least to check it out before the CRJ comes, which I think is going to be coming in the next week or two. There we go, so let's go onto this taxiway on the apron. I've got them armed. I don't think I can arm them. Avionics are on. Standby flight stuff is on. Flight plan. Run a fuel truck in the way. You do feel really lost when you're in an aircraft that you're not familiar with. We go flaps 15. Fuel truck's in the way. We're having a right little Mexican standoff there. It's so small compared to what I'm used to. If you guys regularly check out the... what's he doing? If you guys regularly fly the CJ4, let me know what you think, and if you've got any tips for flying it for today. This is literally genuinely the first time I've flown this properly, which is why I think Seattle to Aspen was a good choice as a route, chosen by everybody on the Discord, because there's no Vatsim coverage. So we're on Vatsim, but we're on Unicom, thankfully. Let's see how big these aircraft are. This is a very good bit of Freeware scenery, I've got to admit. In a piece, hello, Jacob, channel member, welcome back. Satric, hello, welcome. Jacob, it's in the channel description. This is the Boeing Everett facility, Painfield. So we're taxiing through the apron at the moment, just to have a little look at what's been done. But this is Freeware scenery. There we are. That's the only reason why I went past. ZBJA. So yesterday I took this up very briefly for a quick spin, and we did. I basically took off out of Geneva, quick 10 minutes up, turn around, did a direct to back to the airfield as if I was diverting back, and must have done something wrong because I ended up breaking it. Things got very confused in the aircraft. Finally got it onto the ILS and it didn't want to fly the glide slope or anything, but I'm certain that's because I'd made some sort of error. There's the massive Boeing hangars, and we should be turning left. Oh, there's a sideline here that's split off. Actually, no, that's a barrier. So after departure, it's basically a straight up. Let's change the range. There we go. It's basically going due south and heading past the Seattle VOR. So I think that's, if I might be wrong, but it might be the SeaTac airport we're flying directly over, and then heading southeast to Aspen. About a flight time of around 1 hour 45 or so. Let's get the lights and things on, shall we? Landing lights, strobes. Oops. Still learning what the difference is between some of these buttons. Get the old exec view, shall we? What other views did I set? That's a good one. And then we've got the good old
Painfield, pick 27 Juliet Mike, traffic light number 25, part number 30, time flight number 390.
Painfield traffic, exec jet 165, lining up via Alpha 1, runway 16 right, departing south. No one's coming, no one's replied anyway. This is quite sporty for an aeroplane. And there's my takeoff view. So there was a hotkey that I needed to find on...
Painfield traffic, November 27 Juliet Mike, passing flight level 5000, climb to flight level 390.
Oh, we're smashing it. I have to find the toga, shift control G. Shift control G. I think that's activated toga. When entering runway, enable toga, command a 10-degree pitch of attitude on the flight director, which I've not got on. It hasn't got a 10 degree. Oh well, let's go. Rocking and rolling. We're making it up as we go. Oops, that was quick. Giddy. Zephyr, did I preset my altitude? No. U1, rotate. And we're up already. Good grief. Quick. Gear up.
Altitude.
And let's go. Autopilot on. Half bank. Nav. VNav, I think. Bayfield traffic, exec jet 165 airborne passing 2,500. And already we're going crazy high. So I'm going to enable vertical speed mode. Let's get out of that, shall we? Because that's silly. How long is this flight going to take? Good question. About 1 hour 45. Look at that, punch through the cloud ceiling. Let's go back to MSFS live weather, shall we? So the flaps all back. Speed's good. I think I must have changed my throttle settings because I don't seem to have the toga option. 37,000 wasn't it for our cruise? So we're just going to commit to our climb up. Jamie, hello, welcome. Scooter Pap Game, hello. About 120 gigabytes or so, really. I'm just catching up on the chat, guys. Darks, yeah, the 787s look really cool on the ground, and I've forgotten about Volanta today, actually. I don't think I put yaw damper on as well, but let's tick that. Make sure that's on. So yesterday I was not able to get the climb detent working for the speed. And we're having the same sort of thing again today. FSLTL, Jacob, is a project that's working at the moment to try and get AI traffic into everything. John, Cavakit 9000, awesome. Avesta EU, yes, I think they have. There is a working guide. So within the actual user guide, and there's a link to that in the description as well. So check that out. There's actually a flight level change 240. Zephyr, thank you. Jamie, hello, welcome. What was I saying? So yes, there's a user guide that you can download along with this, and it's quite helpful actually. That's what I've got up on a second screen at the moment, flicking back and forth between the chat and the user guide itself. And effectively, it will tell you how to set up the holds, offset flight plan, all sorts of really cool stuff. So definitely worth checking that out. And I think we're doing okay. I think we're doing well. That's all on. I've actually managed to get, I keep remembering, I keep forgetting flight level change, but it's holding there nicely now at 240. And I can bring the throttle back a little bit, just so it holds that, brings the rate of climb down a little bit. So instead of that vertical speed mode, this is the VNav working nicely, and that's pretty good I think for a throttle setting. 1,600 or so foot per minute climb. Standard pressure as well we want. And let's take a look at some of these views. That's my interior view. don't think the door opens, but if I'm wrong, let me know. John, yes. Yeah, just me and yourself today. Some great views out the window. Should be turning left any second. I preset all these yesterday as well. Zephyr, yeah, I was in the climb mode, but oddly enough I was getting crazy rates of speed, vertical speed. I was going up to, like, it was initially 5,000 foot per minute, which is too high. Kai, hello, welcome. What are them boats doing down there? Broke. SeaTac should be here somewhere. Oh, there it is. Was that? Might be Boeing Field, actually. That is. Yeah, there we go. There's Boeing Field. So we should have passed the Needle. Great view. It's called a cam. Yeah, it's pretty good actually. Very, very quick, I've got to say. Let's go back into the flight deck, have a little look, see how we're doing. So, I think that's in the climb gate. Oh, it's in cruise. If I put it in climb, which is now, which is where it was a minute ago, then our rate of climb goes up to like 4,000 or 5,000 foot per minute. It's just that's too high. Perhaps it should perform like that, but anything about Airbus I'll be really good with, but this is all new. Very keen to give it a go though. It's very good, I've got to say. Stubaka, nice. I'm glad you've enjoyed making a little custom mod for your Selcal plate. It's quite a cool little thing to do. Put your own stamp on the aeroplane. Viper, yes, it is. So, from what I understand, this is by far the most advanced mod in the sim currently. There's a lot going on with it, but yes, they're going to be pretty much getting it to work exactly as it does in real life. Or study level, as everyone refers to that as. In a piece, yeah, it does. The AI is very unstable at times, isn't it? And Avesta, yes, they've announced that they're going to make the A320 family. Personally, I think it's a little pointless, because the fly-by-wire mod is so far ahead, as Kai's saying there. It just doesn't make sense. They might as well focus on the A330 option that they were looking at instead. Yeah, I was looking at the textures yesterday, and the textures for the CJ4 are very confusing to me. So I'm not really sure how to do all of this, how to edit my logo into this. I'm sure I could maybe stitch it in here somewhere, but I'm not particularly good with that sort of thing. So I'll be playing around with it over the next few weeks to try and have a little look. John, have you activated half bank and yaw damper? Put terrain on as well. Stephen, hello, welcome. Channel member as well, welcome to you. 20,000 foot already, wow. Absolutely smashing it. And we could just go and sit at the back here and take in the views, live that exec life. There's a link to this in the description as well if you guys want to get your hands on the working title CJ4 and have a go yourselves. There's a link in the description too. David, yeah, absolutely rocketed off the ground. Not confident with my ability to get it back on the ground though, but we'll give it a go. Russ, exactly. What I love about this is there's even a weight value for the cabinet, as if it's fully loaded with a load of champers. But I think this sort of thing, for those of you who might be looking at getting the CRJ from Aerosoft, it'll be due fairly soon. I really think that it would be wise to have a little go in this because of the way that the throttle works and the fact that the throttle placement is all down to you the whole time, except for climb, as we saw. Then you want to make sure that you get used to that, because in the Airbus and the Boeing, of course, we can just set our speed, arm the auto throttle, and away we go. Whereas this is down to us to constantly assess speed, altitude, and everything else through the flight. Which is the same with the CRJ. There's no auto throttle on that. There's a climb FADEC that will take over the climb power like this does. But apart from that, there isn't anything else. So if you're looking at getting the Aerosoft CRJ, I really recommend having a go in this first, which I think is part of the reason why I'm taking this for a spin today. I'll be looking to do the CRJ and covering that a little bit as well. So I thought it would be wise to give this a little go. Definitely more of an Airbus fan though. Or an airliners fan, I should say. Much prefer the airliners in the sim. It's a 1 hour 44 flight time for us. You know what we could do? Now we're over 10,000, I could set the throttle back to climb, and we should start to accelerate up to 300 or so. If I bring the speed up there. Wonder how fast this is going to go. Yeah, so Stephen, interestingly, Simbrief actually tried to get me to go for a cruise of 410, flight level 410 today. Switch lights aren't lit up. Mine aren't either actually, and I'm not sure how I would know your damper is switched on. So I was expecting there to be something that's telling me. Let's go. What's the range? Is that one? Yes. So I've clicked half bank, but there's no button that lights up or suggests on here that I've activated it. So if there's somebody in the chat that is an expert with this, let us know how you can tell your damper and half bank are switched on. So obviously we've got flight level change and autopilot there activated, but apart from that, we don't have very much more of an indication. Switch to Mac now as well, hasn't it? Of course it has. Level off a little bit so we can accelerate. Let's do 300. I like the gradual acceleration. It's not the Airbus, the nose comes straight down and it flies up to whatever climb speed you've set. Whereas this doesn't do that, and I quite like it. But yeah, you know what? It sounds odd, but I think it's just a cost thing. I'd imagine they've managed to take a couple of million off the price for the real-life aircraft by making sure that it doesn't have that. But it does seem odd. An auto throttle for this would be awesome, but then I guess it does make it easy. CRJ is the same. I always thought that was odd. 737s, old 737s had a auto throttle that worked quite well, but for some reason the CRJ didn't. Let's move that heading bug around as well, because I've noticed it's still on fixed heading. So we'll keep it near roughly our direction of travel, like you would in a Boeing. Let's have a little look at approaches and things. I'm trying to remember what the approaches are for Aspen and whether which ones are the difficult ones. So if you know what the tough one is, you'll have to let me go. I think it doesn't have a circle to land, does it? It's literally just runway 15. Oh no, that has a circle, I think. Good grief. The Roaring Fork Visual runway 15. Brilliant. How do we know what that is? When visual approaches to runway 15 are in progress, clearances will be given utilising in part the following phraseology. The call sign cleared for a Roaring Fork visual approach runway 15. And weather minimums a ceiling of 6,000. Wow. RNAV. There was something about visual landings actually in the guide. Jason, nice. That's a long journey for you. Russ, yes, the Cessna Longitude. Slightly bigger, isn't it, than the CJ4? I'd probably preferred that. I like larger aircraft. This is quite nice, to be fair. John's going for the RNAV Zulu runway 15. Viper's good question. I don't know. I think I've always preferred big airlines, big jets, and yeah, the complexity of the systems is, I guess, one of the reasons. But I just love flying the big, large aeroplanes, A320s, 777s, the long-haul jets. Love it. I do short haul in those all the time. So when the Quality Wings 787 comes, I'll be looking to throw out a ton of content for that. So why aren't we climbing anymore? I guess because I was maxing out too much close to VMO. Startup for this is so simple. It's literally just 2 buttons, which is quite nice. It's got 2 comms as well, so if you had a second frequency tuned in and you don't want to listen to it because it was too loud, you can just go ahead and click that, turn it up, turn it down, flick between the 2 there as well. So all of this little radio panel here works pretty well between the 2, COM 1 and 2. Radar Robert, no problem at all. Thanks for tuning in though. We're airborne at 30,000 feet at the moment. Although I'm not sure if we're struggling to get much higher. Perhaps I need to bring that speed down. We'll do 290. There we go. It's tobacco. I love Volanta. It's quite good, although I have forgotten to use it today. It is pretty good, to be fair. Russ, yes, that confused me actually at the start. So I've got Pushback Express, as lots of you know, and I clicked the door button to see if it drops down or the door opens at the very least, and it didn't. But weirdly, it gave me the fuel line just loose on the floor, which is quite odd. Probably more of an issue with the Pushback Express mod not being configured properly for this aircraft, but a little weird. What's the latest METAR actually for... let's have a little look. Winds at 200 degrees at 3 knots. Light snow showers. Is the US weather at the moment broken in the sim? Because it shouldn't be like this, I'm sure. It's just got clear skies completely. I'm sure it shouldn't be like this. Overcast at 6,000, -8 degrees for temperature. Wow, it's cold. So we should have lots of snow on the ground. Fairly lowish cloud. 2,100 foot is the cloud base. -8 degrees as well, so that is super chilly. But a good journey. You know what, it's nice to fly something different as well for a change. I always tend to be in the A320, which I love. It's really good. Works exceptionally well, especially with the mod. But it's nice to do something a little different. I'd spend more time in the long-haul jets if they worked better, but of course, as we all know, they don't, sadly. Just having a little look at some of these charts, and I'm tempted to do that visual approach I mentioned a minute ago, the Roaring Fork River visual for runway 15. Might be quite interesting, although the charts aren't particularly helpful to us. Runway airport elevation is almost 8,000 feet, 7,838. Hard to tell how this is going to work. Actually, let's put the overlay on. Okay, so DBL, we're going in via the red table VOR, and then we should see a river that feeds in, I guess. Pilot controlled lighting with a frequency of 11885, so we could ping that frequency and it should then light the airport up, but I'm pretty sure that's not going to be in the sim. Cloud ceiling 6,000, visibility 10 miles, which we've just about got by the looks of it. Capital Peaks, we're coming in from the north. And red table VOR recommended 12,500 foot. Wow, okay. And they're recommended 10,000. Right, we're doing that then. Let's just throw ourselves in to make it as difficult as we can. Let me show you guys Navigraph and show you what I'm looking at. So here's our route, taking us all the way in from Boeing's Everett facility. Southeast across the states and into Aspen, Colorado. And if we zoom in and actually have a little look at the map, we're entering the red table VOR, and then we're going to have to branch off and fly it down to 12,500 foot. And then basically round and straight in for this arrival. If we were flying in from LA though, we'd probably have come in via Schofield Pass or Capitol Peak, so one of these parts of the mountains here. And that could be quite interesting because we'd have to, if we were coming in from the southwest, we'd have to fly in one of these procedures with a little circling procedure right at the end, as you can see there on the charts. But we're going to come in via red table, we're going to fly in the visual approach, I think. Unless you guys want me to do the RNAV, let me know. And there's no final approach fix or anything like that, so it'd literally just be down to me. Russ, did I manage to get VNAV to work and descend at top of descent or at the correct time? As you didn't. No, I mean, I literally took off yesterday for a quick 5 minutes, 10 minutes out of Geneva, and after a couple of minutes I then turned around and flew back. And not very much worked for me, I've got to say. But I think that's because I really flew through the flight pan off. Good grief, I keep forgetting. I'm on keybinds. You step into a different aeroplane and everything goes to a bit of a mess. John was asking how to scroll the flight plan on the screen. To be honest, I have absolutely no idea. I'm not sure. Traffic memory, checklists. That's what we should have done actually. We should have gone into normal checklist and we should have gone to takeoff long for passenger briefing menu. Land.
May I have your attention, please?
Oh.
We will be landing shortly. Please turn off all power. May I have your attention, please? The captain has turned on the seatbelt sign.
That's quite cool.
Please fasten your seatbelt and shoulder harness at this time. Thank you.
Steven's done 8 flights on VNav on this. Nice. God, at this rate, we're not even going to get to flight level 370. What's that, max 7.5? Oddly enough, it's slower than the Airbus A320. Checklists, normal checklist. So we could go through these and have a little look, and we can tick them as we go, which is really cool. So you can just click push select as you go through it all. Before engines start, starting engines, before taxi. So you could literally work through as I'm showing you here. Before takeoff. Should have done all of this. Takeoff. After takeoff climb. Cruise, which is where we're at now. So Stephen, select lower menu, which is that button. Wesley, it's going alright actually, to be fair, but it is different. The throttle is completely down to you to manage. There's no auto throttle, so it does add a few elements to it. Ah, plan mode. Nice. So then, I'm guessing you would just... How would you move between these then? I guess you'd go to flight plan. Legs, maybe? No, weird. Not sure. But that's how you get onto plan mode anyway. Stephen seems to know quite a bit in the chat, so hopefully he can advise people on how to move between each of those. That's quite cool. The third button from the right at the top. That one? Or do you mean database? Ah. Yeah, so we're in legs. But let's configure for an arrival actually while we're doing this, while Stephen's explaining. Runway 15. Interestingly, there's no stars, so yeah, it's just, that's it. We've got to just do it. Interesting. John, nice. I don't even know how you got the RNAV up, to be honest. I've selected runway 15, but there's no stars for me. So I'm not sure how you've done that. On tuning, I need to add in the red table VOR, which is 113. Decimal 0. That'll need to go into nav 1, I believe. I think that's all there is. No missed approach procedure. No. Performance. How are we doing on speed? Got to constantly check speed, really. VNav plan speed. I wonder if this goes in. No. So it's just trying. It's hard trying to work out what it can and can't do so far. Here's our approach refs, so we've got to make sure they're all in before we get to Aspen. Quite early, of course. But we can see that currently the METAR is winds 200. Axel, nice one, thank you. 200 at 3. Outside air temperature is -8. If it changes, we can, of course, go back in and edit some of these. QNH is 29094. So that's telling us we need QNH of 1014. And runway slope is always the bit that I don't get in this aircraft. So I guess the only thing you can really find is it's got a displaced threshold, usable 7,000, good grief. I'm going to show you guys the Navigraph thing as we get a bit closer because it's quite cool, this new preview thing. Doesn't mention at all anything about airport slope from what I can find. I don't know. We'll click 0. We'll leave it blank. We'll do that roaring fork visual anyway. That's going to be interesting. Why not give ourselves a challenge, eh? So that's all pretty much done, I think. We can go to the next page and you can see anti-icing. We'll have to leave that. Oh, it's not active. We'll have to leave that on if it did work because of the temperature. And you've got VREFs of 99, V approach of 105, which is nice. You can send them to the aircraft when you're ready as well. We'll do that a little later as we get closer. There's loads of different menus in here, which is quite cool. Display MFD, left side, right side. It's just getting used to all the different functions within the aircraft, really. Press MFD ADV. Where is it though? Let's go back onto plan, and then pretty sure you said it was one of those. Oh right, yeah. Oh right, and then you go next waypoint. Okay, that's quite cool. Ah, a little more fiddly than the Airbus, isn't it? And you can zoom in, maybe. He says making it all up. I have no idea. But that's how you do it. That's pretty good. And DBL was that VOR. There's the top of descent marker for us, that green dot. Which is interesting. So let me know how if we activate VNav as we hit top of descent, would it then guide us down to DBL? And if so, how do we set the constraint for that? So DBL, the constraint should be here, right? We want to be at 12,500. 13,000 at DBL actually. Let's do 2. Uh, 180 actually. That's still 80 knots quicker than our actual landing speed, isn't it? Next page. Then there's a discontinuity because it's basically there's no VORs or there's no star, so it's just going to take us straight to the runway effectively. Oh, that's quite helpful. I like that. And then we can just go back into this PPOS, and then we go. We can, of course, as we get closer as well, we want to tune out VOR, we can change this. So we can click select, I think. Is it that one? No, maybe we need to change something else. I don't know. In here anyway, we can change it to the preset for the VOR changes. Make sure I've updated our heading as well. When the top of the descent marker appears, we hit VNAV at that point. Awesome, okay. And then we manage the throttle as we would normally. It's definitely a lot slower than the Airbus though. Mach 7.4, good grief.
Altitude.
There we go. So that effectively is Alt Star in the Airbus. Sean, hello, welcome. Okay, so that's we've only just hit 37,000 feet now, interestingly, and in 100 miles we'll be descending. Actually, no, in 100 miles, DNJ, actually, isn't it? We'll almost be descending. God, it's different trying to just get used to all these different map waypoints. Ah, right, okay. No, we won't be. We've got loads of time. So actually, we've not really hit that too badly. Yeah, we were in VNAV for a climb, I think. I say I think, because I'm not really sure. Sean, I hope you're well. Thanks for tuning in. Morgie, welcome. Checking out the working title CJ4 if those of you tuning in just now, and if you're new to the channel, do click subscribe. And I've set a load of custom views for today's stream as well, so we can get the exterior view without having the loud whine of the engines. So check out my custom view tutorial if you want to have a little look at how to do that. Somebody said to me that the cruise speed for this was nearer like 350 or so knots. So I'm a little surprised to see it's slower than the A320. It's a nice little jet to fly though. It's very sporty to handle, I've got to say that. Stephen, I dial down to 0 at top of descent, hit VNAV and it will go down to each constraint till it goes straight down to the runway. Axel, nice one, thank you, yes. So kind of similar to the Airbus then, you've got to set your altitude, then commit it. I'll try and remember that nearer the time. It's odd, isn't it? I could jump into a Cessna 208 Grand Caravan and I could do that pretty much okay. And work my way around the cockpit. Cessna 172 is just, it was like, well, it's easy peasy. Dream to use. Mainly just prefer living in the A320, so I'll get into this and I'm just like, phew. It's so different. But I've actually been really impressed so far with the working title mod. For those of you who want something a little smaller to fly, this is great. And especially as I was saying earlier, if you want the CRJ from Aerosoft that's due soon, this is going to be perfect for you guys because you're having to manage the throttle the whole time. So now we're in cruise as well. Actually, I should probably point out that, you know, I just remembered, the actual throttle setting for us is down to us to manage. So we're just about to tickle over speed there, so I'm just bringing the throttle down a little bit. So you've got to try and set the throttle to hold a speed. And you want a little bit of a margin from VMO as well. There you go, that looks pretty good. Passing BMO, inbound DMJ. We're holding about 240 or so knots. So we can keep an eye on that as we make our way along the route. Avesta, I don't have a scenery for Ponta Delgado actually. Is there one available? Like a freeware one on flightsim.co? If there is, that'd be great. I'd definitely download that for the day, for that trip that's due on Sunday. Tomorrow we're going to be streaming from Manchester to Corfu, although I hope they've fixed the frames per second issue that was present in the A320 at the moment. Maximilian, hello. Yes, it is literally like a car with no cruise control. So you can see there I've set to 240, but we've dropped 2 knots there, 238, 237. So I'm just bringing the throttle up again a little bit more. Eventually the aircraft will settle itself, and once it does, we'll leave it at that speed and throttle setting. But naturally as well, if the wind shifts and rotates around and gives us a tailwind, we could end up having to change the setting again of the throttle, because we could end up overspeeding. Then you select approach as well. Okay, that's good to know. Interestingly for Aspen though, there isn't any approach programmed, so it doesn't. I don't think it really knows where it's going to go after the VOR. So I've selected a completely visual approach, which is going to be interesting. I've never flown into Aspen either, so it's been dubbed as one of the most challenging approaches in the US. And I'm doing it in an aeroplane that I'm flying for the very first time. What I'll need to do as well is set our minimums. Which are, let's have a little look. Weather minimum ceiling of 6,000, but that's not the minimums we want. Minimums for the, if it was the lock DME for our red table. Oh, there's an ILS. Well, not an ILS, but like a localizer. It's interesting. Good grief. 6.59 degree glide slope angle though. Whew. Steep. But the minimums for that is 10,220. And for the RNAV, 10,220 as well. So we'll go with that one. 10. For our MDA, could tune the lock DME as well, I guess. In fact, that might help with the visual approach. Transition altitude of 18,000. We're in the US, and pretty much that's all I can find at the moment. Axle, yet there is a visual approach chart for Aspen, and it's this one here on Navigraph. We're going to come in from the red table VOR there, which I've already tuned. And straight in. One of the latest updates from Navigraph as well, I'll show you guys, as I mentioned earlier. You can go onto overview now and you get quite a good little pictured view of what the airport would look like. And it shows you there as well the point of view as well. There's the river, so that helps. Weather information as well, telling you about what to expect if you are flying into the Rockies. Category D circle to land not authorised, but if you're in an A320 you can do it, weight permitting. And there's all your weather data as well for the amount of snow they get. And runway 15, visual vertical guidance is provided by PAPIs, 3.5 degrees on the left side of the runway, so you know where to look for the PAPIs, but they're unusable beyond 4 nautical miles from approach and beyond 7 degrees right of runway centreline, with a disused displaced threshold. So there we go, and you can see that river running through as well for 15, and then 33 is the opposite way. So it's quite good you get an actual picture. So as you're flying in, especially great on Microsoft Flight Simulator, because you can then the terrain and the way that the photogrammetry and stuff is rendered makes it particularly accurate, I guess. And there's our Roaring Fork visual. Interestingly though, the river's not put in to this chart, but on the RNAV, no, on the, it's not on the lock either. Oh well. and no stars. What could possibly go wrong, eh? If this was in an Airbus, it'd be second nature, and I'd be quite happy to just crack on with it all. But this is all alien to me. But it's quite nice to do something different, as I was saying a minute ago. Holding 240 knots kind of nicely at the moment as well, which is good. We've got our throttle set round about there. Captain Scoop, hello. Very tempted to tune the ILS frequency in as well, just to give us a bit of an idea. Descent procedure, it says descent can be conducted on a 3-degree flight path, and the rate of descent can be estimated by doing the calculation I've discussed before. Ground speed by 5, and it says ground speed of 450 with a rate of descent of 250 would give you 3 degrees descent. But you can descend up to 300 foot per minute from cruise. Top of descent can be calculated for a 3-degree glide path by taking the difference between the altitude that we're currently at and the landing altitude. You multiply it by 3 and divide by 1,000, and that will give you your nautical miles away from basically how your target. So if the example in this working title user guide is 120 nautical miles from Denver, basically. So it will tell you how many miles you need to descend down to the altitude you want to get to. You can elect to use either FLC, flight level change, vertical speed, or VNAV to manage your descent. Vertical speed mode will allow you to more accurately target your descent to arrive at any constraints, but you need to constantly monitor power and speed. You can use flight level change to descend by setting a target speed not above VNE or MMO, and then adjusting your power settings to achieve the target rate of descent. And VNAV's covered at the end of the guide under autopilot operation. Allow time to slow to 250 by 10,000. And below 250 it's not recommended to exceed a 3-degree descent. 3 degrees at 250 is 1,250 foot per minute. This is a great guide, especially if you're new to the sim. Andrews, yeah, I was clicking that a little earlier actually. The zoom button doesn't do anything, sadly. What else have we got? Slow to 200 knots or less prior to initiating approach, and slow to no greater than 160 by the final approach fix. But there is no final approach fix for this. That said, how many miles is it from Red Table to the airport? The airport from Red Table as well is on a radial of 163, so that's going to help us. Doesn't tell us how many miles to fly though. I'm going to guess that is, actually let's look at the lock charts. That's 13 miles. At Jargo. Red Table, okay, so Red Table's about 13 miles from the airfield. So 180 knots is probably fine for that, and then we'll still be working us to slow ourselves down to about 160 well by then. Yaw damp has to be off before touchdown. Upon landing, deploy the spoilers and use brakes as needed to slow the aircraft. CJ4 doesn't have reverse thrusters. Does it have an auto brake arm? Does it have you can't arm the spoiler either. Wow. Approach. The approach page within the perf menu contains input fields for computing landing speed, vref and vapproach, as we had a little look at earlier, and it's arranged and operates in a similar manner to the takeoff page. Runway slopes not yet implemented. Conditions as well, we're going to want to select wet actually, I think, because of the ice. Turning at DNJ. We've got landing weights and a few other things as well. There was a page here for visual. Oh, there we go. Visual approaches. May be used when an instrument approach is not required. To select a visual approach, use the next key and scroll to the end where necessary, where the runways are listed. Okay, so the runway EXT allows for values between 1 and 25, with 15 being the default. For the legs page, a runway extension will appear as RX. You can use this to build custom waypoints for even more situational awareness by creating a downwind or base or final leg. You can also choose to delete the RX waypoint and no extension will appear. That's really cool. To be fair, I should probably put in a instead of the 5, I should probably put in a bit more of a better value. So the lock DME, 13 miles from Jargu. Let's do 10 miles would be, what's an arc from 10? Okay, that's pretty good. We should be lined up with a runway at 9, so we'll do a circle at, in fact we'll do a circle at 9. Execute. There we go. And then there's RX and runway. There's our little circle that we've put in. That should help us on our visual finals. Quite cool. There's so much in this user guide. It'd be one of those things you've got to read through quite a lot just to try and work it all out. Yeah, John, I'll put the link actually in the live chat. And you can create custom waypoints. There is, I was just looking onto that actually. Aviation, Liam, hello. Harvey, welcome. Adding a waypoint. That's the bit that I don't really work out properly. I can't quite work out. Custom waypoints must be entered on the legs page. They will not be accepted on the flight plan page. So that's longitude, latitude. Wow, good grief. That looks like a lot of work. If you need to hold a distance from a fix along an airway, you can use fixed distance name. I'm tempted just to give it a go, to have a little look, see how we do it. So we're on legs. Let's just make sure we are on the correct legs page. They will not be accepted on a flight plan, so enter the waypoint into the scratch pad. And it's going to be after DDL. You know what, I wish I had, no, I'm not going to bother. We don't need it. We'll make it up as we go along. Graham, good afternoon, welcome. Channel member, thank you as always for supporting the stream. William, bloody school, nice, yeah, unfortunately. Axel, nice. So if I clear that discontinuity, I need to zoom in actually less. So can't zoom it. How do you change the range on this one? Plan. So what I want to do at the moment is reduce the range on the map. Kevin, good morning. It's definitely it's very different actually, I've got to say, but it's quite nice. If someone could tell me how to zoom in on this plan mode, that would be great. Maybe I have to change it here literally. Yes, I do. Okay. So there's my little line that I've created, that discontinuity from DBL, that RX15. So I've actually put a extension out from DBL to help with our navigation for our visual approach. But I'm having a little look at that actually at the moment, and I probably need to amend that. So I'm going to clear that. Clear the discontinuity. Let's click exec. Departure arrivals, and we want to I'll put in an 8-mile extension actually. That probably, maybe a 7-mile extension. That looks a bit better. Legs. So we're saying we can clear the discontinuity. Oh, and then click exec, and we've got a new line. Awesome. So clever. There we go. RX is the circle that we've just put on here, that extra waypoint that we've just generated on the flight plan. And I've done that so that, if I show you guys Navigraph, we're going to fly from Red Table, which is the VOR DBL. And I'm going to try and fly pretty much sort of like 190 degrees south from there, to be flying in visual. All of these little dashed arrows here basically means the autopilot will be off, or effectively the decision is down to me, so either I'll be flying it manually or I'll be using automation to change the navigation and altitude and things as we go. And you can see the grey line here, it says a radial of 163 degrees straight to the runway, which is there. And what I've done, where it says RX15 on the nav display, as you were seeing a minute ago, is I've drawn a little line basically here. So 8 miles from the airport, or here, pretty much in effect, I've got a line. So I've now drawn a line from there to here to help with our approach. But it's kind of hard to judge, so I guess I'm going to change that again actually. It's clear. Exec. Departure. Let's do 9. Let's do 8. I'm making this difficult, but I'm also showing you how much this can tolerate, I guess, because I'm absolutely mucking around with the flight plan more than I should, probably. Buzzing along there, it's a 5-mile display. If you want to make a custom waypoint before the VOR waypoint, put DBL -5. That's quite cool as well. So then a waypoint would appear here, and I guess it would be +5, and I'd have another waypoint there as well. Aqua Vitale, yes. I hope it doesn't break the sim, but let's have a little look, shall we? Where's the plane? Nope. Interestingly, it's just blank. So, nothing at all. Odd. I never used the VFR map, but I'd have thought the flight plan would have appeared. But I guess there's no need to use it, so if it doesn't work, I guess it's not too much of an issue. Let's go out of range. We've got that throttle set quite nicely actually. I'm very surprised it's Mach 7374. I thought that would have given us a faster speed, especially from what a lot of people were telling me before today's stream. But anyway, that's our little waypoint that we've put in. So let's come out of plan mode, which I think was lower menu. I feel like I'm slowly starting to get used to this. We'll probably use rows for the way in, or PPOS perhaps. It all depends if the VOR would come up here as well, I guess. Let's see, map symbols, what comes up under here. Nav aids, that's good, let's tick that. Escape. Let's have a little look at system testers, that doesn't do very much. Escape and escape. And then we're back to that. Makes sense. I guess you get a lot better performance out of the aircraft doing that as well. Separating the two. Engines whizzing away at the back. The interesting thing that's going to be different for us guys when the Aerosoft CRJ comes compared to the A320 is because the engines are similarly mounted like the CJ4 here at the back. In the CRJ, what it actually does is it pushes the nose down, it pushes the aircraft down or forwards when you're applying thrust with rear mounted engines, which is great for takeoff because you need to pull it up out the ground, so you need a little bit more back stick, but for landing, if you are coming in a little bit too fast and or a little bit too slow, sorry, and you're not managing your speed properly and you add in a bit of throttle, what you're going to have to do is ever so slightly pull back on the stick as well, because increasing the thrust and the CRJ will push the nose down, which you don't want when you're near to landing. Stephen, yeah, I was reading actually, it does do holds, which is really cool, and I've also read that it does, so you can enter or exit the holds. Where is it? Offset flight plans, I'm sure I read that somewhere. Sequencing, discontinuity constraints, sequencing. I'm sure I read somewhere that it does a it allows you to I must be making it up perhaps, offset routes, which is quite good for like oceanic crossings with nat tracks. Kevin, KASE, I think Aspen I think is a Sovo handmade airport, someone was telling me, so I'm hoping that's the case. I think it is. XP channel 100% Microsoft Flight Simulator. I sort of fell out with Infinite Flight years ago because I had everything on my iPad and I'd paid for like aircraft and bits and bobs through that, and then when I changed to Android they were basically trying to say that I should buy it all again, so I refused, never used it again. Josh, hello, welcome. Yeah, not a fan of Infinite Flight. Stephen, yeah, so offset routes is more useful for things like nat tracks, crossing the Atlantic and things. I mentioned it actually on my oceanic crossing stream a few weeks back. But basically you can select no more than 2 nautical miles from your original route, is the rule. You can select an offset route, so it will tell the aircraft to fly 1 mile to the right hand side of your planned route, which is really clever. Great for passing aircraft that are on the same airway that you've caught up and things like that. It's a really good feature. But if you're doing nat tracks and you're doing oceanic reports, you would still report your original route. You wouldn't change your position report to include the offset, which is an interesting fact. Aviation simulation, yeah. No cigars on the flight, I'm afraid. It's a non-smoking service. We're using NetJet's call sign today as well. And I was going to use a NetJet's livery on flightsim.to. However, it said that it basically wasn't compatible with the mod. You had to change some panel config files and things. So I couldn't be bothered. So we're using the generic default Microsoft Flight Simulator CJ4 livery. The light reflecting off those seats and in the cabin is not looking great, is it? Hello, welcome. We must be about halfway now, although I've noticed actually guys, you haven't got an overlay, so there you go, whoopsie. That's because I was recording some tutorials earlier the other day. So I turned those off because they don't work well on tutorials. Richard, there's a mod called Your Controls, and I'm not sure if it works with the CJ4. UC, hello, welcome. I'm not sure if it works well with the CJ4. I've tried it with the A320 and it was very, very, very buggy, so I'm not going to use it again. But I think you might be able to use it, and it will basically allow 2 or 3 people to connect to the flight. You'd have to spawn at the same place, the same aircraft, I think, if that's what you mean. How are we doing? Still 242 knots. You've got to keep checking the speed. Bottle of water or champagne and caviar for the executive flight. Yeah, no comment on your controls, definitely not. Didn't go well, did it? Yeah, I've had to hide a few spam bots and things as well today, bizarrely, in the stream, which is a little odd. Doesn't usually happen. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you do click. Oh yeah, love a Dom Perignon. That'd be fantastic. I could check the cabinet actually, which I think is in that button there. Have a little look in the cabinet. Maybe one day they can click that and we can pull it out, and there'll be a bottle of champagne and things in there. That'd be quite cool. Jurassic, nice. No problem at all. I'm glad you're enjoying it, and I'm glad you're making the most out of Vatsim. It makes it a lot more enjoyable for sure. I certainly find it a lot more enjoyable when you're on the network. It can be a little frustrating when controllers log off just before you reach them though, but not usually too bad. I'm sure live weather's broken in the sim at the minute, or at least over Colorado. We've had nothing but clear skies the whole way. There was a seriously big difference as well, as you guys saw as well, between unreal weather with the latest METAR and live weather from the sim as well, which is a little odd. So, not sure what's going on with the live weather today. Maybe there was a poll actually a little while ago that they basically asked the community on their Discord server what features they would like to see in the mod, and one of them was games, funnily enough. Quite a lot of people voted for it. I'm not sure if I would be a fan of that myself, or if we'll ever see it, but certainly something that a lot of people asked for. Russ, probably not, no. We're on the west coast of the US as well, so it's very early in the morning for those guys. So I'm not sure we'll get any ATC today, but we are on Unicom. Harry Nice uses IVAO. Aviation Sim uses IVAO as well. It's in the chat somewhere. But I'm not a fan of IVAO myself. It's certainly nowhere near as professional ATC wise, I don't think. Although don't hate me for saying that, IVAO folks. Let's go broken clouds for like 5-10 minutes and then we'll see if we can kick the weather back into touch. Yeah, the default ATC is shocking, isn't it, compared? It's like a whole extra layer of immersion in the sim, using things like Vatsim. And the fact that it's free is amazing. Maximilian, hopefully this is going to fix the live weather. We tried this before departure though and it didn't do very much. But if need be, as we get closer to Aspen, I'll turn Unreal Weather on, which is the free mod that I haven't used for a little while actually. Actual, that's not great then, is it? We spawned and we had live weather initially, so I've spawned cold dark at the start of the stream, and it just seemed to me that the live weather was already broken from the beginning. So I'm hoping this pushes it across. But we've got Unreal Weather as well, which is the free mod. I'll use that as a backup should it not work again. Richard, yes, France and the Netherlands and Belgium, I think, are included in the next World Update after the UK, which I think they've penciled in for middle of March or the end of March, which is quite good. France is included, which kind of makes the latest Orbex Paris scenery pack pointless. So I don't recommend buying that. I'd rather people wait to find out what's going to be included with the new photogrammetry upgrades in March. And there's not too long to wait for that either, to be fair. Neil M, welcome, hello. Yeah, a little different today, trying out the CJ4. And we're doing okay actually. We're holding about 240, 244 knots, which is good. And we've had not too many problems just yet. Most of them have been pilot error. Harry, yeah, it does go in a little bit more in depth. Vatsim normally, for me, with the difference between the two, I'm not too sure, but Vatsim is proper ATC, I guess. The controllers have to go through a lot of training to get allowed to just do ground controller, when they have to do a certain amount of hours, do even more training, more exams to go onto the tower controller, and so on and so forth. So the controllers on Vatsim are very, very good, and it's hard to actually pass out and become one. But IVAO, yeah, I think that's just more for less serious simmers, I guess. Well, that's probably the wrong term. Less serious ATC, I should probably say. Yeah, it's odd, Maximilian. I've used live weather a lot on all my streams recently, and I've never had any problems, but I've come to the US now and it's just stopped, which is a little bizarre. And Jurassic's saying there, live weather was working in Alaska last night on the sim, but didn't match the local weather, and was completely broken in central Sweden. Clear skies everywhere. Similar to what we had today then, just clear skies. So perhaps they've done something to the server and mucked it all up. UC, thank you. Yeah, next world update for France, Belgium, I think it is, and the Netherlands perhaps. Yeah, 30th of March. Thank you for that. Didn't know that. It's good to know. World update, Vatican City. Very small update package, I think. I'd like to think for that. And Mats, yes, Norway's fantastic in the sim. So all of sort of Norway, Finland, that part of the world, Sweden. Definitely going to be flying a lot of trips coming soon to that part of Europe. Definitely a great part of Europe to fly, so 100% will be returning. Probably one of my favourite places to go to in the sim, along with the Greek islands, of course. Maximilian, yes, there's quite a few actually. John's dropped down to lower altitude to enjoy the view and not miss the RNAV altitude. Yeah, you don't want to come in too high. It's quite a steep approach anyway, but at the best of times, I think, by the looks of it. So let's do back. They have mentioned then that the live weather's broken. Interesting. It was working perfectly the other day as well, so I'm not sure what's changed. Bizarre. But the February update for the 11th is going to be good. We've got about a week before the sim breaks again for a little while. Hopefully they don't change too much for us. Let's go back into live weather and see what's the crack with this. Kevin, yeah, the winds aloft on Unreal Weather just don't work. To be fair, they're pretty bad. But for a free mod, it's quite good, I think, I've got to say. Just bring that throttle down a little bit because we are getting a bit close to the red tape. It's definitely a lot slower than the A320, which is a little odd. I expected it to be absolutely rocketing along to Aspen. David, it's going well actually. I had my third session yesterday, Ops Part 2 for the Vatsim ground training. I think it's going well. I like to think it's going well. I'm certainly giving it a good go. They mentioned that after the fourth session I should probably go forward for my exam. So I'm waiting for my fourth session to be booked in. But that may or may not be an exam itself. I'm not sure yet. And then hopefully I'll be then, if I pass, I'll be qualified to do ground and clearance delivery, which would be awesome. Yeah, the A321X, the last time there was a world update though, it broke for an entire week. So I think that's probably why I'm a little nervous of what to expect for this next world update. Kevin, I'm at East Midlands, EGNX. So much to get used to though, the systems and things are so different. There's a lot for me to learn, and I still feel like I'm absolutely nowhere near ready. We've got to get some sort of live weather coming through soon. Look at that down there, though. That looks amazing. Whoops. Just over halfway. There's a working title CJ4 checklist as well, which you can get via their system, via their Discord. And there's a little checklist that goes for you for like descent. Let's have a little look actually. It says pressurization, verify, set landing elevation. How do I do that? Got to be in here somewhere. Refs menu. No. Radar or barometric? Should be baro, I think. minimums, and they should be 10,220. Set that. There, nothing. Config. Okay, that's nothing. Estimate time as well, we should probably put that on as well. Or elapsed time, should have turned that on at the beginning. That's a chrono basically for takeoff of things. Jimmy, yeah, it'd be clearance and ground as well actually. So I'll be looking to get past on both of those, both clearance and ground channels. So I'll probably log in as a ground controller and then manage both roles basically. Ed, good question. There's a link in the description today for the stream. Down at the bottom there's both the working title user guide that I'm using to help me along, and also a invite to get to the working title Discord server where you can get all the latest information and download, look at progress updates and things like that. So have a little look there. EGXC is quite good. Mr. Backy, yeah, the mandatory update system is probably the most loathed thing about the sim. Jackson Hole's a nice airport to fly in and out from. There's very good freeware scenery for it on flightsim.to as well. Nice. Not sure if you guys saw the start of the trip as well. We had a little look at the Boeing Everett facility, which is some really good freeware actually on flightsim.to, and that's really quite cool. It's got loads of static 777s parked up at the Boeing apron, which is pretty nice to see. Systems 1 and 2. That's quite cool. I'm not sure what MEM 1, 2 and 3 does. I don't want to click them in case I break how I've got it all set up. How do I set cabin pressurization? It should be auto, but it's in the checklist as something that I have to set by the looks of it, so if you guys know how, let me know. Co-pilot fans, cabin temperature. There's the GPWS stuff. Make sure that heading bug's on the correct line. Maybe it's in here somewhere. CRR, hello, welcome. That's a nice route, Diamond to Bali, nice. And Salt Lake City is online. They are indeed. Good shout. I'm too busy trying to flick around with things in the sim. It's interesting to see they're online though. Salt Lake City Centre. Let's have a little look then. So 12025. Let's go to tune. We'll stick that into COM2, shall we? Flick across to COM2, activate that. And what we got? DBL's coming up actually. I think that's 276. That's our next waypoint. And our call sign is ExecJet 165. Will be flight level 370. Salt Lake Centre good morning. Exec Jet 165, that's Cessna CJ4, flight level 370, inbound Delta Bravo Lima. Jim, thank you. It's not functional yet. So we've got transmit on COM 2. Let's flick that across to 120. Stick him in there, shall we? COM 1. No, I set it on, Axel, I set it on COM 2, I believe. I turned COM 2 on anyway. Unless it doesn't work. It showed me on vPilot transmitting on 12025. 275, that'd be why. Wow. Need to look at what I'm actually programming. That's a bit better. Salt Lake Centre, good morning, Exec Jet 165, Cessna CJ4, flight level 370, inbound Delta Bravo Lima. Well, I've tried twice, he can contact me now.
Exec Jet 165, Salt Lake, good day, sir. Squawk 6070.
Squawk 6070, Exec Jet 165. You should see us. Mode C's on the vPilot climb. Pretty sure that's where the transponder stuff goes.
Exec Jet 165, radar contact 59 miles northwest of the Fort Burger VOR, welcome.
Exit Jet 165, roger. Jurassic, spotted Glasgow, completely clear skies, yeah, so live weather is definitely broken then. This is good to see that it's absolutely chucking it down where you are, and you've spawned in and it's like this for you as well at Glasgow. But once we start descent, what I'll do is I'll kick it into Unreal Weather. We've got the mod ready there, which is free to download. So we've got that set up all ready to go for us. Wow, he's up early on Salt Lake Centre. It's about 9 o'clock in the morning for them, I think. West Coast. Was it Pacific Standard Time? I think it is, PST. Matt's out there. Whereabouts do you live? No problem at all. Yeah, it must be. It's quite frustrating though, because you read in the meta, it worked flawlessly the other day, and there's obviously not been an update since, so a little interesting. Let's have a little look then at approach. Sequencing constraints, departure, arrival.
Salt Lake Centre, good morning. It's November 27 Juliet Mike, flight level 150, inbound Sydney for
Okay, so we've already had a look at the little descent procedure that's on the user guide, which is really helpful. The link for this is in the description for the stream today, folks.
Juliet Mike, sorry, November 27 Juliet Mike, you're actually leaving my airspace, straight, monitoring you today.
Oh man.
Monitor you anycom.
That means we're going to be monitoring it soon. Make sure that line's facing the same direction of travel. Oh wow, we dropped down to 207 knots. How has that worked? Ow, that's very bizarre. Let's smash that speed straight back up, shall we? It's a shame there's no way that you can set a speed band, so it just sits and reads the, like if you drop out of a speed range that you've set, it then doesn't, it beeps at you. It's a shame that that isn't a feature in this. It certainly helped more people out. It's in a star. I haven't got live weather, interestingly enough. I thought I had, but it's not working, as it's all just blank and very default. But as we get closer, I don't want to do it too early because then we'll get METAR for another airfield. I want to do it close enough to Aspen to get all of the snow showers that they've got at the moment on the METAR. Trying to get us back to 240. John's going to land miles ahead of us at this rate. Flick that back. Just managing the speed is a little bit of a fiddly thing. Read this in from Somerset. Weather preset to clear skies, and then if you spawned at the airport, change to live weather. I've tried that KC pilot. Tried that at Boeing field actually, or at Everett I should say. Painfield. Sort this throttle out a little bit. About 240 knots is what I want. That'll do. Yeah, Jurassic, like that's quite odd, isn't it? So I'm actually using, as you guys saw here, the default Cessna Citation CJ4 livery, because some of the liveries break the mods somehow. No idea how, but apparently it does. And I didn't want to then spawn in and have an issue with the throttle not working and something like that. Andrew, have you downloaded any liveries lately? Because I know there are some that are recent as well that require you to move some panel config files and things across to get it to work. I know that is one of the known issues that they've reported. Hopefully that helps. Great little aircraft though. It's a nice little taste of what to expect in this CRJ when that comes as well. 239s would need a bit more power again to hold that just above 240. Andrew, so what I read on the Discord yesterday for the working title team, they're basically saying that what you might need to do is take the panel config file out of the livery you've downloaded and delete that, so that it uses the one that's in the mod itself. Otherwise it clashes, so things like the throttle might not work, or as you might be experiencing, the IDX button and SimBrief integration stops working. So that might be a reason for it, although I'm not particularly an expert with this. And no, there's no auto throttle. So this is all down to us. There's a climb detent for climbing up to our cruise altitude. You have to activate toga for that. John, nice. You are absolutely miles ahead of me. I don't know how. Maybe my throttle setting's not been as accurate as it should have been. I'm trying to get close-ish, between 240 250 knots to try and keep up. But potentially you're going to arrive a long time before me. Andrew, no problem. So as you can see, I've had to fiddle with the throttle a little bit just to get it to hold a reasonable speed. So at the minute it's probably, it could come down a tiny little bit more as well, so it's still going up slightly, so let's just drop that back a tiny little bit. that should hold us about 245 knots when it settles, hopefully. I've set this as a custom view as well, so this is basically the view that I've set as a default if I use Alt 1 using my custom view tutorial video. So Maximilian, yeah, true, he did say that actually he dropped down significantly. VNAV does seem to work quite well, yes. It's worked for me quite well so far. It's nice to have a bit of a VNAV as well, actually, I've got to say. We've got 202 miles for DBL, so fairly soon actually we should start to get top of descent. 50 or so miles away.
2020, you get your own assignment when you get your taxi assignment, sir.
There's the top of descent marker. And then it's all going to start happening very quickly for us, I think. What things could we set? I'm not sure what any of these do. Approach. 290 knots. Wow. I'll do 249. I haven't been able to go any quicker. Should have gone at a smaller, lower flight level. That can't be right. Wow. So wind. So this is the METAR currently. At Aspen. I'm just going to put it in the live chat for you. Just pulled it in. 3 kilometers visibility. Light snow showers broken. Clouds overcast. 2,400 feet. -8. QNH 2992. So I don't actually think that the visual is a option for the approach today, but we'll do it anyway. -8 still there. Winds 000 at 0. I'll leave that wind setting in, I think, and I'll check the METAR as we get a little closer. Light snow, -8 degrees. Altimeter is 29902. So let me refresh that. Okay, yes, that's standard pressure anyway. We could stay on there. That's pretty good. Gives us one less thing to do, and we're going to change the runway condition to wet. That doesn't work yet. And there's our approach speed. So we could click send. And then what it does is it feeds that into our speed tape. Complete. So I think as we get closer, what we can then do is go to our VREFs. We can manually change that if we want to. So you can see there, we can change our V approach speed to something different if we want to change the value somewhat. But we'll leave it as what's set for now. 100 miles till top of descent. Buzzing along quite well. Russ, yes, I think you're correct. Simbrief told me to go at flight level 410 actually, but I went with 370 just so I could get used to how the aircraft flies and compare it with the Airbus, I guess. Although if I was flying lower, we would have been able to fly a bit quicker. Matthew, great to hear, thank you. Glad you're enjoying it. those of you watching at the moment, if you are enjoying the stream
Salt Lake Center, United
today,
434
please make
Heavy,
sure you click that
requesting
like button
pushback,
as well,
please.
and if you're new to the channel, do consider
United
clicking
434
subscribe
Heavy,
as
crew,
well.
call taxi.
Tomorrow we're going to check out
226,
some more
434
updates to the EFB on the stream for the A32NX, the fly-by-wire mod for the A320neo. And they've got some really good EFB updates actually that they've pushed today. Effectively, what you can now do in the EFB and the A320 is change a lot of the cockpit settings and the sound settings via the EFB screen, which is really cool. So we'll be taking a good look at that tomorrow. Hopefully they've fixed the coherent draw issue with frames per second getting absolutely wiped out before after a flight of 1 hour 20 or more. That's going to be interesting to see.
Delta 997 Salt Lake Center, good day, sir. Squawk 6051.
Those of you who use the CJ4 regularly, how accurate is that top of descent? So I've added in a constraint there, 13,000 foot, 180 knots. How accurate is that? If I hit VNAV now, actually. That should reach top of descent and start to
Delta 997
descend.
radar contact just passing the Muddy Mountain view already.
Yeah, it's very good progress actually. I think some of it has been a little bit of bug busting as well. Nice to have a bit of ATC. I'm surprised Salt Lake City or Salt Lake Center is online at such an early time for those guys. It's frustrating about the live weather issues.
Center, United 434 Heavy's ready for taxi, please.
United 434
Yes,
Heavy, runway
thank
16
you.
right, taxi by Echo Bravo Alpha 11.
So 13,000 I needed to target, wasn't it?
6 right via Echo Bravo Alpha 11, 434 Heavy, thanks.
So we've got altitude of 13,000 set. We've got top of descent coming up in 75 nautical miles, and VNAV is now active. And we've got the constraint of 13,000 foot in there for DBL.
Nav 434 Heavy advising against weather.
Welcome.
Might set it to 12,500 actually as the absolute lowest. So after that VOR, we're going to want to start a southerly turn for our visual approach. And we'll see how all of that goes. What's going to be interesting for me actually is in the Airbus it's very easy to flick between VORs and things like that, so I'll be interested to see how, maybe I can work that out here actually. So nav,
Ready for taxi.
I'm guessing we're going to have to activate VOR.
2020
Oops.
runway 16
Oh
right,
dear.
taxi by Echo Bravo Alpha 11. Follow the 747 that will be on Echo.
My bad.
16 right, taxi by
Those of you who are
Echo
familiar with it
Bravo
will have to let me know
Alpha
how to
11.
get the VOR to display on the maps. If you guys watching as well haven't flown this yet and you're wondering what to do, how to do it, then this is literally my first proper flight in this, and it's actually been pretty good so far. So don't let it put you off. I'm hoping you guys watching me make a couple of silly errors like I just did there will give you confidence. Actually, it can handle quite a lot. Just working out how to change map modes to show our VOR that I've got pre-configured. Display overview, that's not what I want.
Jet 165, leave my airspace, radar service, terminal frequency change approved, good day.
Frequency change approved, exec jet 165, thank you, have a good day. So we're on Unicom. but I'm going to put that back onto Com 1, I think. $50 miles almost to the top of descent. Let me catch up on the live chat. It should switch to VOR automatically when we press approach if you have it in the preset position. If it doesn't, you can switch it via the nav button. Which is what I just did there, and it turned us around the wrong way, didn't it? Matthew, this is the CJ4, so this is the standard private jet, exec jet. Yes, yeah, Mach is below the tape. It's there, Mach 7.5 or Mach 7.6, I guess. But it's that the VOR for me is going to be interesting, so I'll be able to switch it across. Preset there, I'm not sure what that means. I think that's just meaning this here. I've got it set to pick up the VORs as we're flying around them. Oh, I've changed nav. Half bank's on, yaw damper's on. And we'll have to then go on to approach mode. I just want to track it, so on the Airbus axle there's a button, I can flick it and turn it onto a VOR rose, and it will actually, I've answered my own question I think, silly boy. PFD menu. And then I'm going to have to select rose, aren't I? I guess, is that going to be it? And then bearing source, VOR 1. Hey! Awesome. I just want to track it so I can get the radial as well as we're flying out from the VOR station too. I think that's what I wanted. I hope that's what I wanted. Oh, darn, thank you. I just saw your comment. Nicely timed. There we go, that's good. But then, that's nice to see. So basically, once I get towards that VOR station, we fly past it, that blue arrow should start to spin off to show us a direction back to that. And we want a radial, so I think the minimums are well below this, to be totally honest with you guys. But we're going to do the visual anyway. We'll just give it a go in the sim for the sake of it. Let's have a little look at Navigraph. So we're coming in via the red table VOR, which is what I've just got it to set for us. And it's 111 nautical miles away. Ralph, welcome to the channel. Bronze Frequent Flyer, welcome on board. Thank you for subscribing to us. We're going to go from red table, and we're going to go down, and you can see there this visual approach manoeuvre. So 12,000 foot just after the VOR, and we're flying in visually for this approach into runway 15 at Aspen. Currently got snow showers apparently according to the METARs, so we're going to give that a go. You see a ghost VOR appear when you get close to the station. Nice one, thank you, Zephyr. Ralph's in green now. Welcome to the membership. If you are on Discord, Ralph, make sure you ping one of us, DM, or ping one of either myself or one of the mods. We'll make sure you got the senior first officer role in Discord as well to get access to our special members only lounge. Matthew, flying properly is so complicated. Yeah, it's you know what, the hardest thing is going to be managing the throttle. It's going to be the same for the CRJ when that comes to us. That's going to be something interesting to look for anyway. Top of descent is coming up very soon actually, so let's 20 miles almost for top of descent. I'm going to leave terrain mapping on as well, because if the weather is pretty poor as we get closer to Aspen, then we're going to want to see where we're going, I guess. The CJ4 RAF's going alright actually, quite enjoyable. I'm not a fan of smaller aircraft, I've got to say, as a lot of you guys know, but this is by far the most advanced mod in the Microsoft Flight Simulator arsenal at the moment, so it's been quite enjoyable, I've got to say. Nice to do something different as well. And I've got my custom views preset as well, using the methods that I've shown in my tutorial a few weeks ago on the channel. And we've got the sun blaring through there, which looks a little odd, so I've not really used that view too much. But it's been quite nice actually, got to say. It's nice that it all works, and I've not found a single bug yet with this. The issues I had yesterday when I took it for a quick up and down 10 minutes out of Geneva, I had a few issues with the ILS and the VNAV on approach, but I think that was more because I was making silly errors, because I didn't really know what I was doing in this aircraft, let's face it. So I'm going to give it a good go today. Thankfully, in the live chat, I seem to have quite a few of you guys that are very familiar with the aircraft, so I'm grateful for all of the advice that you've been giving me so far. Matthew's favourite aircraft's the Mooney M20R, nice. A320 for me is my favourite one. There's a PA-28 that's coming out soon, it's an Archer, an Arrow. I'm tempted to get, but for me I learnt in a Piper a PA-28, so I was kind of hoping they were going to do the Cherokee, which is the version that I actually learnt in. Top of descent coming up. You've got to watch that speed tape. It doesn't help that I've not got the best throttle for this sort of finite response required. $5 miles to the top of descent. You can see it there on the nav display. Yeah, Ralph, I think you're right actually. It captured the localizer and everything fine. It was capturing the glide slope, but it wasn't following the glide slope. Chris, yep, there's one in progress actually by a group called Sim for Flight, I believe. But I would imagine it's going to take a little while for it to actually come to the sim. So we've got path. Here we go. So we're watching VNAV in action now, folks. XR, yeah, the longitude would be great, although I fear there's a top of descent flashing there, vertical flash, path warning, and down we go. Gonna have to bring the throttle down as well. Matthew, no, I've not flown in real life for a very long time. Zephyr, does this look good to you? 2,300 foot per minute rate of descent though, which is quite steep, I've got to say. And what are we doing? We're doing the Roaring Fork visual for runway 15. What a name. Roaring Fork visual. Make sure I'm making a note. And we're passing red table soon. We want a radial of 163. Make a note of that too. Blasting down. We are on a visual approach for this, so VNAV and things won't be too much of a influence. Too close. Yeah, the longitude's quite good. 3000. Oh, they've got the G3000 mod for that one. Nice. I didn't know that. So we're letting VNAV do the work here, guys. So those of you wondering what's happening, I've set our throttle position. We've got no. Perhaps if I'd have clicked flight level change, we would have probably Had a little speed tape thing come up here for a target. But we're letting it do the work here. 2,150 foot per minute. Actually 2.5 degrees, which is quite nice. And you can see there it's got itself lined with the VNAV perfectly for this managed descent that the aircraft's doing all by itself. All we're doing is managing the throttle, so I'm trying to hold it around 250 knots at the moment. So that's where I've got the throttle at the minute. XR, there's quite a few mods for the longitude then. I've not given it a go, I've got to say. I tend to sort of avoid anything that's still remotely near to default. Let's go. Oh, seatbelts should really be on.
May I have your attention, please? The captain
Passenger
has
brief.
turned on the seatbelt sign. Please fasten your seatbelt and shoulder harness at this time. Thank you. May I have your attention, please? We will be landing shortly. Please turn off all portable electronic devices, snow tables, secure luggage, and loose articles. Return your seat to the upright and outboard position. Extend your headrest.
A350 would be great when it comes to the sim. That would be so good.
After landing, please remain in your seat with your lap belt and shoulder harness securely fastened until the aircraft has come to a complete stop in the parking lot. Thank you.
Ooh, axle. How? I'm guessing it's going to be in here somewhere. MFD advanced? No. Display menu. You have to show me how to do that. I'd love a little Airbus PFD in that. That'd be quite cool. What we're doing as well, passenger brief, we can get rid of that. And checklists. We're in descent. So let's have a little look. Pressurization, that's not done yet. Ice protection systems as required. We just turn them on anyway because it's super cold out there as we get closer with snow and things. Altimeters, we've got them set pretty much. Let's get the latest METAR again. Yeah, so 6 nautical miles visibility, light snow showers, broken cloud, overcast at 2,400 feet -8, and altimeter 2999.2, which is basically 1013 standard pressure. So that's good. And exterior lights as required. We've got them all on. Well, I should have had landing lights. I should have had pulse light on, I think. I'll put landing light back on for now. So that checklist is complete. Approach checklist is next. Landing data is confirmed. That's already set, ready to go. Crew briefing's complete. Avionics, flight instruments, check. PFD menu, then config. It's nice being able to just let the aircraft descend itself. You can see that top of descent calculation there, which shows that actually we're going to be 12,500. Probably a little bit too late, actually, I've got to say. What was I doing? Oh, flight director. Oh, cross. Nice. Awesome. The only thing I am confusing it with, I'm making it do sort of 2 things at once. Technically we're kind of in the approach phase almost, so we're going to finish this. We've set the minimums already, that's 10,220 feet. Fuel transfer selector. He says, looking around the cockpit aimlessly, there it is, off, checked. Exterior lights as required, ice protection systems as required, we've done that. So approach checklists coming up, and we want flaps 15 soon. Good, this is looking fine. And what I might do now is I might set unreal weather. So prepare for some crazy weather updates. Oh, there we go. Randy, good morning. It is fairly early, yes. well, depending on your time zone, I guess. And today we're in the working title CJ4, which you can see here. And so far it's been really nice. I've made a few silly errors myself, but the mod itself has actually coped really well with the silly things that I've been doing. Axel and Zephyr, are you guys, I've got such a terrible memory from Discord and things, but are you guys some of the developers for this? What I want to do, actually, I'm not sure if we can, if I idle the throttle, yes, that's going to still just keep our speed reasonable. 12,500, which is just after the VOR for red table. Now this is just an inbound VOR, so I'm not sure if I need to select approach mode in this. In the Airbus I ordinarily wouldn't bother, but I'm not sure if I need to activate that to tell this that I'm making my way in. Flaps will be done shortly. We've done seats and seat belts. Flaps 15 for landing, eh? And then our before landing checklist. So how can I force this to start to slow down then? If I want to select... Edvin, hello, welcome. New to the channel, very warm welcome on board. We're just starting our descent into Aspen, Colorado, and we're pretty much right either on or right below the minimums for a visual approach, the Roaring Fork visual approach from runway 15. And this is the first time in the CJ4 as well, so throwing everything at myself here. Less than 30 or so miles to go. But how do I now tell it to start to slow down? If I want to start try and target 180 knots. Throttle idle and speed brakes, nice one, thank you. Let's get this down to 180 then. Yeah, I wasn't sure if I was doing something wrong there because I seem to have been holding 240 to 250 knots quite nicely, which I didn't want to do. Braking in there through the cloud and kind of basically in the Rockies effectively. Although I would have expected more snow. It says snow depth 0 actually, which is bizarre. But this is for Eagle County Regional Airport as the METAR that it's using currently, which is not quite correct. So for those of you who didn't see earlier, what I did is I put in a little waypoint here about 8 miles away from the airport, drawing a circle basically, and it connected the dots. RX-15, so that's one we've added in ourselves. Let's try and slow this down a bit more. We're about to hit that VOR. Come on, Unreal Weather, we need to update now and get some new weather data. Getting close to that ground. We're pretty much at our target altitude here now. We'll be turning off down there, so in fact there's the airport. Aspen traffic.
Altitude.
Dear me. Aspen traffic. That's bizarre. Why is it doing that? Oh, I know why. Because I've got COM2 on as well with the same frequency. Aspen traffic exit jet 165 inbound via Red Table VOR for the Roaring Fork visual approach runway 15. What a name. Flaps 15.
Traffic, November 27 Juliet Mike is repositioning at DBL for the RNAV approach runway 15, Zulu.
Oh nice, John's pretty much arrived around a similar time. Speeds here really important to try and manage. So let's select minimums. Was it 10,200 basically? So alt, we want to do flight level change. So landing checklist, a couple of miles out. We're gonna, it's basically landing gear down, flaps 35 degrees, speed brakes on. We don't want them on right now though. Speed brakes 0%. That's the case. Airspeed VREF and autopilot yaw damper disengage. Checklist complete. I'll turn that off because we don't need that right now. It's just going to be more of a distraction for us. So you can see the river, sort of, breaking through, and we kind of want to follow this line here. That's effectively what we're going to be coming in via, and not too long out now. Let's bring that speed right down, shall we, to refs, which is 106 I think it was.
Autopilot.
Aspen traffic exit jet 165, turning finals runway 15 visual.
Landing gear.
Full flaps, gear down. So this is manual flying now. I'm not going to do too many exterior views. Flight Sim 101, thank you very much. I'm glad you're enjoying the content.
Altitude.
Minimums. 122 knots currently, and you can see now we've got quite a steep little drop down. Ooh. This is the weather for Aspen. That's good. This is what we want to see. There we go. Perfect. Good grief. Well, I wouldn't have gone visual that quickly if that was the case. Wow. It's making its mind up. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go here.
Minimums.
Force the weather in. So this is what Aspen looks like right now. That's a bit better, isn't it? Looks proper. We were visual of the runway, but we'll just continue anyway. 115 knots. We've got 3 green. And we're fairly stable on the approach. I'm just managing our speed really more than anything else. There's the runway. Just off the nose. And there's our approach speed 106, so throttle to match that. And we need to turn the flight director off as well because we're flight visual and that's becoming more of a distraction. Look at that. Absolutely fantastic. William, thank you. Kind of wish we saw the pappies though. I can see the approach lights, so I guess I'm just going to continue with that. And the flight director's put itself back on again. John, I'm not sure where you are. If you're still watching the chat as well as flying, I'm not sure. You'll have to let me know what position you're at. I wanted to avoid that as well. So we're just going to make a little adjustment so we can fly in kind of sideways almost, if you like. We're looking like we're coming in a bit low, so nose up. There's the river down below. Can't get used to these views though. Too busy looking out the window. Whacking a load of pressure, power there to get our speed back up to approach speed. That's a bit better view. Axel there, thank you. Slightly left and slightly red. It's the viewpoint that's the hardest thing in this really, I think, more than anything else. The Airbus I've really got used to for seat position. There we go. Towards the end, 2 red, 2 white. And let's idle the throttle now. Whoa, a bit too much of a flare there. We're down. And on the brakes. Coming off here at Alpha 3. Stopped very quickly then. There's an odd effect in the, I think the snow really with the scenery of this sim. Aspen traffic, exec jet 165 vacating at Alpha 3, taxiing to the apron. Not sure where John is. Look at that. Great view. Andrew's Deco, thank you. Maximilian, nice. John's on the RNAV, nice. So you're on the way in. William, thank you very much. Pretender, thanks. Ralph, thank you very much. And F1 crew, thank you as well. Wish I was familiar with all this. So there we go. I guess we're parking here somewhere. Why does that feel like a car park? He's here to see us in. Should probably turn the landing lights off and put taxi lights on, and the strobe probably should come off as well. We'll stick it in the car park, shall we? Next to this geezer. Let's check this out. He's obviously here to take the execs to a special meeting. So, park brake on. Shutdown checklist. I would imagine there isn't very much of a shutdown checklist, except for stop, stop. I guess. Brilliant. What we got here? It's going to be master warnings and all that sort of stuff going off. Let's do avionics off. Battery off. Strange drone position. So John should be here somewhere on his way in. In fact, I can see him in the distance, I believe. I thought I could anyway. That's it. He's taken us straight to the ski resort. Slight overly, I overdid the flare a little bit, I think. But for first ever proper landing, kind of manual landing, I think that went okay. And yeah, Maximilian, we've got a rainbow somewhere. I'm sure John's still flying the RNAV somewhere. Not quite sure where he's coming. I don't know where he's coming in from though. And yeah, those peaks are quite frustrating, aren't they? It's a little disappointing, Ralph, with the terrain spikes. I think they've said that they've been working on those, but that one right at the end of the runway there could be really problematic. John, true. I'm on a beta though, so it should work. But let's disconnect and we'll reconnect anyway. So hopefully we can see him. Copper mine, yeah. That's one thing they really need to change, isn't it? Dot aircraft, and we've got 2.4 miles away, a Cessna citation. So he's on his way in. He's somewhere in the valley there, but the RNAV approach takes you through, so you can't really see him until they sweep around the last bit, I think. But it's showing me that it's active and displaying as a Cessna citation, so that's good. We watch John's landing. I highly recommend the working title CJ4, folks. We've gone all the way from Boeing's Everett facility and Payne Field to Aspen, and it's been absolutely fine. The only thing is me fiddling around and doing stuff slightly wrong, because I'm trying to fly it like an Airbus. And we'll just wait and see if John can make it in without hitting the hills. Great little approach. And if you want to give that one a go, that is the the Roaring Fork visual approach for runway 15 via the Red Table VOR. If it's something you guys want to have a little go at yourselves, and if you do, you'll have to let me know how you get on in the comments too, and let me know what you think of the CJ4. Here comes John. Actually, he's just appeared out of nowhere. I'm not sure what happened there. Has he disconnected right at the end? Oh, he has. John, what happened? This is where he reconnects and he's down here somewhere. It's either a crash to desktop or it was a voluntary disconnection. Maybe with a stall at the end. Yeah, so John, there's a within Vatsim's vPilot client, if you click settings and you go down to updates, you want to check for vPilot updates on channel, and you want to then make sure you choose beta out of the drop down. There was a beta updated today actually. John, oh no, crash to desktop or crash. If you guys want to download this, check the links in the description, it will all be there. Speed and views flummoxed. Yeah, the view is quite difficult to get used to actually. I wasn't comfortable with the view on the way in. Crash. Yeah, just as you disconnected actually, I did see the nose come straight down, so I was wondering if you'd stalled it. But thank you anyway for flying with us, John, as always. Tomorrow we're going to head to Samos, ideally from Manchester, but it all depends on how they are able to fix, whether or not the fly-by-wire team are able to fix the coherent draw issue, where at the minute, if you do a flight over 1 hour 25 minutes or so, for some reason over the last week something's been merged and it's causing everybody's frames to drop through the floor to about 7 frames per second or so. So if that's still not fixed tomorrow, what I might do is I'll tweak the route slightly so that it's just under 1 hour 30, 1 hour 20, and we'll then head in. Hopefully John was able to eject. I'll pick somewhere where we'll be able to fly into Samos still and do a circle to land live on the stream with the A320 and check out the latest EFB updates as well. So be sure to tune in for that. It's scheduled on the channel, and of course on Sunday as well we're going to be heading to Lisbon and we'll be flying to the Azores, which is quite a nice little destination that we've not yet ventured to in the sim. I hear a plane. I think it's probably that weird car that sounds like a plane. But there we go. Thank you all of you for watching. Thanks to John for flying in and tuning in and flying with us. And thanks as always to Ralph, Pretender, John, all the other channel members, William, Callum, Stephen, Graham, and everyone else. I'm sure I've missed people out of, and Wesley of course as well. I'm sure I've missed people, but thank you as always to our channel members for supporting the streams. Orion, hello, welcome. Just catching us at the end of the stream. Exile, yeah. 1 hour 30 or so apparently is the moment where the frames start to really drop off. Jeff, no problem at all. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Nice to try something different. I highly recommend the CJ4 from Working Title, and it's a great little insight into what to expect for the Aerosoft CRJ coming soon as well. For those of you who are in and about tomorrow, make sure you tune into the channel and we'll be live from the Mako Simulations Manchester Airport, most likely, and we'll be heading over to Samos, one of the Greek islands, for a notoriously difficult mandatory circle to land approach for one of the runways. So be sure to tune in for that. That's going to be awesome. And those of you tuning in and flying with us as well tomorrow for the Samos trip, be sure to check out the Samos tutorial that I put on the channel at the start of the week for a little bit of an idea of what to expect. Oh, who's this? For an idea of what to expect on the day as well. Somebody's just done a little handbrake turn to join us. I have no idea who that is. Anyway, I'll see you all tomorrow, and thank you as always for watching. Appreciate all the subscribers and members and the donations as well in supporting the stream. That was really kind of you. Aqua Vitali, Callum as well for super chatting as well. And we'll see you tomorrow, as always live on Vatsim. Have a good day.